Hello, hello, everybody. What is up? It is your girl, Jess, and welcome to the new version 2.0, baby, of the Slay VibeZ Only Podcast. Woo! First of all, I don't think y'all understand. Like, I am so nervous right now, which is insane to say, but I am, because this is a completely new format. I told y'all it was coming, and here we are. Okay. We're basically calling this season 2 at this point. Okay. This is season 2, episode 1, and this is the new version of the Slay VibeZ Only Podcast. Okay. I don't even know how to feel right now. I'm just excited, which I think I said multiple times on the last episode how excited I am. Can you tell? And I just want this to be a girl's chat, a guy's chat, a people chat, whatever you want to call it. It's just a one-on-one vibe for me and you to just sit here and connect and vibe together, okay? And so, okay, I'm gonna do a little segue because this is supposed to be an intro. So, first of all, let me say welcome, all right, to the Slay VibeZ Only Podcast. If you are new here, hello, and hi. I am Jessica, and I'm your host for this lovely evening. And if you're returning, what up, y'all? Welcome back. This is so different for me, and it's very nerve-wracking to a certain degree, because, I mean, those of you that follow me on social media, you know how comfortable I am with kind of just being transparent, being open, being honest. Like, that is who I am to the T. But this is a different level, right? Like, sitting in front of a camera, kind of opening yourself up to all types of everything, praise, criticism, everything. Like, this is a different level of exposure. And I think that for me, it's such a shift, and it's so out of my comfort zone, which is crazy to say, but it is. It's out of my comfort zone. And to be sitting here talking to you all through a camera when I'm used to being so comfortable in front of, like, the mic by itself, right? Like, nothing else, like 110% behind a shield. And it was kind of easy when I first started this podcast to do that, and to be even more transparent and more vulnerable. But it's just a different level, and I am excited, but also nervous. Excited, but nervous, because, yeah, this is just all new. It's very new. But one thing I've realized is this is a season of new for everybody, good and bad. And I feel like that's a good segue into what today's episode is going to be all about, okay? Today, specifically, I want to bring you all in to my world, okay? Because your girl is a wife, okay? A twin mama, and running my own business. And it's like, I can't even explain it. Like, my brain has like 50 million tabs open at once all the time. And it's insane to be running in that type of direction all the time. And you have to keep the spark alive in your marriage. You gotta, thrive in motherhood. And, then you also have to, like, run a business and really pour into that too. How is it possible? honestly, it's not always possible, but the magic is in the grace. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm literally going to share with you all how I attempt to keep the vibes strong, baby, while balancing all of the crazy, all of the chaos. And I cannot wait to continue to keep, sharing some more with you guys. So buckle up, stay tuned. We're going to have a great, great, great time on this episode. All right. So get your coffee, get all of that, and come back. And yeah, we'll do what we need to do. Okay. Hey y'all, welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you went and you got some water, you took a bathroom break, you did whatever you needed to do, because we're here and we're back and we are excited to be here. Or at least I am. I don't know about you. I hope you're excited to be here because I'm excited. Even though my sweatshirt says something completely different, it says over. I don't have on any makeup, child. I am recording this at 1:00 in the morning, and it's my creative craziness, but also it's the only time in my household where it's completely quiet. No one's waking up. It's just a different vibe. It's when I have the most creative fervor, but also at the same time, this is not a normal situation. So I don't recommend, okay? But here we are, we're here. And I feel like that kind of like segues into our chat today, because we are talking about how we're balancing all of the roles, okay? All my mamas out here. I feel like this episode is specifically for my moms, my parents, my working moms, my stay-at-home moms, like trying to keep all of the hats on all the time, trying to juggle all the things. It's not easy. It takes so much daily effort. But it also means that you have to give yourself grace. And I know we hear that all the time, right? Give yourself grace, give yourself grace, give yourself grace. But in a practical sense, what does that mean? We're going to talk about that. We're going to touch on that. But I know for me, one of the roles that I'm working on, if I'm going to be completely honest, is the wife role. Okay. Which you would think would be the easiest role to a certain degree, because it's the role that I came into this relationship, this mamahood, everything. It's the role that I came into, right? First, before I became a mom, okay? Like being a parent and being a wife is it's interesting, right? Because my husband works full time. I'm at home with the girls. And I mean, this is kind of like a slightly new development, because at some point I did think that I was going to go back to work full time, even after I had the babies. I definitely thought that going back to work full time was going to be something that I would end up doing. But then I got pregnant with twins, and that completely changed. That idea was something that my husband and I kind of had to go back to the drawing board about. And I tried it, right? Like went back to work for about 6 months and was fired, which then kind of led me into this role that I'm in right now. And it has been definitely a challenge trying to prioritize everything with his schedule and me being at home, both of us being tired. We have 2 under 2, and the babies, my beautiful, beautiful baby girls, they will actually be 2 next week. They'll be 2, which is so mind-blowing to even think of, like, to even understand that they're going to be 2. It's crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. And I love them so much. And they're growing and just flourishing in life right now. And it's so wonderful to see and be a part of. But let's be honest, right? Between putting them to sleep, bedtime routines, me having to edit and create content and do all the things and, manage my virtual assistant business and get things done for that. Like, trying to be romantic in the midst of all of that is definitely hard. And there are days where I am just not feeling it, where I'm just like, okay, babe, night, love you. Like, that is kind of how it is sometimes. And Greg and I have definitely been big on keeping communication in the forefront of everything that we do, because we realize that this is the time we got to work on some stuff. So one of the things that we do is a check-in for us. And we sit here and we kind of discuss like 3 things that we feel like we've got locked in, right? And then 3 things that we need to work on. And I actually asked him to do this recently. Like, we sat down and we talked about it recently. And the 3 things that, we both kind of realized that we have locked in terms of that is like communication, like I said, forefront. We keep that in the forefront. We're always making sure that we talk to each other and connect on something, even if it's a disagreement, right? Because at the end of the day, I never want to go to bed. Not necessarily I don't want to go to bed angry, but I don't want to go to bed without you understanding why I'm angry. That's my thing. I want you to know why I'm upset. And if I don't have clarity, I'll get quiet for a minute and figure it out. But at least I'm going to tell you, like, hey, no, this is why I'm upset. And it may take me a minute to get over it, but I need you to understand and I need you to know. We make sure that we still are fun with each other to a certain degree. Like, we still have fun. Like, we still send each other like memes throughout the day, and we figure out moments to laugh, whether it's at the kids or at a show we're watching, or, me talking about something that I'm fixated on for a certain amount of time that he's like, I really have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm here. He's like, I'm here for the vibes. And same thing with him when he starts talking to me about sports. Sorry, guys. Sports and me, I understand it. It's just I haven't connected quite yet with what sports is. And so, but we still try to have these moments of fun and friendship with each other. And then we understand and we have locked in on the level of importance that Christ has in the center. Like, Christ is the center of our relationship, and we are locked in on that, understanding that Christ plays a role, a huge role, the main role in the success and the fluidity of our relationship, because it's ebbs and flows, right? Like, there are going to be high days, there are going to be low days. And in the course of Greg and I's relationship, there have been a lot of valleys, with him being in and out of the hospital and just so many different things. But I think that we've done a really great job on understanding that with Christ in the center of our relationship, we can flow through all of that 110%. Now, when it comes to the things that we have to work on, he and I think that just doesn't necessarily mean that we're failing at these things. Like, working on them is exactly what it means. Like, we're working on these things. And because we plan on being married until we die, there are probably always going to be things we're going to have to work on, because A, we're human beings and we're not perfect. And B, we're human beings who are 2 different people. And when you go through different things or different seasons in your life, no one is going to stay the same. Like, those seasons will impact you in different ways. And because of that, you have to figure out how to grow together. Now, I'm not saying that if the relationship isn't working, and at this point, I'm not talking about me and Greg, but I'm not saying that if the relationship really 110% isn't working, then you should still stay in it and try to figure out how to grow together. No, you know what you're willing to sail through life with someone on, and you know what you're not willing to do. You know what your boundaries are, you know what your limits are, and you understand too that even like covenant is covenant. I will 110% believe that till the day that I die. Like, I'm not going anywhere. This man stuck with me for life. Do you understand? But if this was a different situation, I don't know what that would be. You know what I'm saying? And everyone has a moment in their lives where they have to figure that out for themselves. But for me and mine, we're always going to have things we got to work on because, again, we go through different seasons and we're completely different people. So I know for a fact, like, prayer time is such a important thing. Prayer time and spending quality time for each other. So that's things 1 and 2. Spending quality time with each other. So praying for each other and spending time with each other. We're working on date nights. It also ties in with the third thing, finances. I wasn't a budget queen when we got married, right? But I feel like I had a slightly decent, feel for my own finances. Same with Greg. He had a certain feel for his own finances and everything was cool. Merging those together, like, even when we were first married for the first couple of years, we didn't really merge our finances like that. But these children that he and I have kind of forced our hand in trying to figure out how to manage our finances together. And it has been a roller coaster trying to figure that out, especially, again, now that we're working off of one income. It's different. And that means that the quality time for each other is probably, we're going to have to get creative at some point. Find different things that you can do when you're balling on a budget. Okay? He and I have a lot of work to do in that area. Especially, when it comes to the exhaustion part of it all. But at the end of the day, praying for each other, spending time with each other, and making sure that our finances are on point are things that we are willing to work on with each other. And my point is, you have to make sure that there is partnership in your marriage. That is the biggest thing. Partnership. Is this person your partner in life? Are you doing this thing called love and marriage together? And if you're not doing it together, what are you doing? That's my biggest takeaway from these last 4 years of being with my husband. Like, that's pretty much how we keep the vibe strong, is realizing that we are partners. We're doing this life together. It's not me against him. It's not him against me. We are working together. And no matter what life may try to throw at us to get us to think that that is the opposite, it is not. We are working together in this, and we're going to stay working together in this till death do us part. Point blank, period. And I 100% am so grateful that I have somebody in this life that I can feel that and work through life in that way together. Like, it's hard, right? I already know that it's tough out here for us, for single people, right? For y'all single folks. I know, because I was in the dating scene. Like, it's tough out here. And finding somebody that is your partner in life is rare and wonderful and something that you got to hold on to. And I'm just so grateful that I have my husband and that he is the person that God anointed to be my husband. Because he's perfect for me. Like, I don't think anybody else would be who he is in my life. And that is something that I'm like, he's a legit answered prayer. I prayed for this man. And I have to remind myself of that sometimes because, again, life gets real weird. But I prayed for him. I prayed for him. And God answered that prayer. Whew! I love it. So let's just dive in, right? Twin mamahood. It's been interesting. It has been a journey. It has been a ride. And it's one that, even though it was pretty unexpected, like 100% unexpected, I don't regret for a second because it has literally shown me parts of myself that I didn't even know I had in me. I feel like my urge to be better and go for my dreams and go for the things that I want has been even more like urgent for me because I have them, like they're watching me, and it's such a different, there's such a different gravity to it. And I love them so much. Like they are these little balls of energy and just intelligence, and they're soaking in everything going on around them, and they're fully investing themselves in it. And it, like, watching them brings me so much joy on a daily basis, even in the midst of the chaos. Like, for real, I feel like at this point, like chaos and caffeine are like my besties, right? Like I have to find my flow in the middle of it. And that honestly comes with setting realistic expectations because it's so easy to get caught up in the Instagram mamahood, mama like vibe and, aesthetic, that you end up putting this weird pressure on yourself to like be perfect. But it's not possible. Like, it's not possible to do that, right? So you have to realize that not every day is going to be a 110% day. And that realization for me has been so key in taking the pressure off. Especially because mom guilt is real, right? Like, I'm not working full time. I'm at home, but there are moments when I have an edit to do, or I got an email to read, or, I have a proposal to create for a job opportunity, and I can't devote my 100% attention to them. And I'm not gonna lie, it definitely has made me feel like I am taking something away from them in some moments. Like, I'm like, man, I can't, like, I want to give you everything, but also at the same time, I'm feeling really fulfilled in this other area of my life too. And the guilt of having those two things kind of like intertwined is weird and real. But that's where the giving yourself grace comes into it. Again, it's so cliche, right? But it's facts. Grace is key in all of this. And it takes the pressure off of that expectation. Like that it's not about being perfect. It can't be, because no human is perfect. But as long as you're trying, as long as you're putting in effort, as long as you're being intentional with the moments that you can give them, then that's the takeaway. That's what they're going to remember in the long run. And that's something that I try to remember every single day. Like, I make the moments that I have with them and the moments where I can give them my undivided attention intentional moments. And then I'm like, okay, did what I can do. And I got to let Jesus take the rest of the wheel. Take it and pray over them, and just pray that whatever I just instilled in them is something, or whatever memory I just created with them, whatever it is something that they hold on to and they cherish. And that's all you can do. And I think too, understanding that partnership thing that I talked about when it comes to marriage, that plays a big part too in flowing in parenthood and in motherhood with grace. Like, lean on your partner, lean on the village that you do have. And I know some of us don't have a village. Like, I have my mom, and I'm so grateful that I have her here, to help, because trust me, a lot of the things that I do, I wouldn't be able to do without her help and her assistance, and my mother-in-law and our extended family. Like, I do have a village that I can call on, and I'm so grateful for that. But I know a lot of mamas out here, y'all might not have that. And I pray that you at least have somebody that you can partner with in some form or fashion, even if it's paid. Okay? Because trust me, childcare, you're looking at somebody who was in childcare. Like, I was in childcare. I understand. Like, I get it. All right. And I think that, one of the main things that my family's always told me was just how grateful they were to have, us there to assist them and help them, because they knew they couldn't do it by themselves. So I hope that you have somebody that you can lean on, because that's been key for me. Like, having my mom, having my husband here to pick up when I had to put something down, I don't know how my mental health would have survived if I didn't have them, because the early days, your girl was in the trenches. Was in the trenches trying to manage it all. But by the grace of God, He sent people to help me. And I had to learn to truly delegate and relinquish certain things and be okay with it, and know that it didn't diminish me as a mom by asking for help. And also, sometimes that help comes in the form of some screen time. Look, I know it's controversial. All the Montessori moms are probably like, what do you mean? But Miss Rachel is our bestie. She's my third co-parent, honestly. And if I could pay her, I 110% would, okay? Because my girls have been thriving with Miss Rachel as an assistant, all right? And sometimes putting that little 20, 30, 60-minute video on while I go handle some business is like the ultimate release for me. And I had to get over feeling guilty about that too, because, you hear a lot of the whole screen time. Look, moderation is key in all things, okay? So just be mindful Again, be intentional with it. Don't just use it as something to have on all the time in the background. Use music, use other things that can be background noise if you need something like that. Like me, I'm somebody who needs something else going on. Like I'm actually surprised right now that I'll have some lo-fi music playing in the background because I need that. But I'm intentional with setting the atmosphere for certain things in my household. And like I use music as a tool for that. And I'll use screen time for a tool for that. Okay. Like I map out what their learning is going to be for the day or how their day is going to flow so that if we encounter any hits and any then it makes it easier for me to navigate and for my team, my husband and my mama, my village to tackle when I'm like, all right, I gotta tap out. Right. And that's kind of how you have to maneuver. And it's going to be different for everybody in everybody's household, but I know that that's been a big, big, big help for me. And I'm just grateful that I have the flexibility and the ability to do that. But I think it's also something that everyone can kind of figure out in their own way. So yeah. And it's just, yeah, it's something that I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to be home with them. I'm so, so grateful for that. It's definitely something I prayed for. And even in the moments when I was like, maybe I'll be going back to work full time. And at some point I might, But I think that right now specifically, I'm needed here. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do so, So, I am fresh out the gate, right, with this business, this virtual assistant business, Slay VA Solutions. Shameless plug. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely been different. It's definitely been out of my comfort zone, right? And even how I've had to structure my day to really kind of tackle certain moments has been very strategic and very intentional. I feel like that's going to be a key word for this episode, intentional. We got to be intentional. But it's facts. Like, in terms of my day and how it's set up, I mean, it really does kind of ebb and flow. It varies depending, but I have a pretty decent structure. And it really just boils down to, like I said, I kind of structure and shape my day around my babies. And they wake up, I get them breakfast, I get them fed and happy and changed and all that. And then I kind of play in a way that allows them some freedom of exploration. So we set up art, or we'll do some blocks, or we'll read books, or we'll go through their letters because they love their letters and their numbers and their shapes. And, we'll do that stuff. And honestly, I feel like that's where my early education, background and experience kind of comes into play. But I have to kind of structure their day like that because at that point, I interject, the screen time. I'm like, cool. Now, here we go. We got an hour of screen time. Mommy can go and tackle emails. I can go tackle some, job proposals. Like I could do all these things. I can get some content, done, editing done, stuff like that. Now, does that always happen? No. But having the structure there is kind of the whole point. Like, it's something I can fall back on. It's something I can be like, all right, cool. Let me slot that back in there now because it's there and it's a framework for me to follow. Because if I'm just out here flying by the seat of my pants, which I'm not going to lie, I definitely did do a lot when I first like started off back at home, but it just, it wasn't working, right? Like you can't get anything done when you don't know what you need to get done. And then it just makes me feel like I'm disorganized and like I'm not pouring in where I need to pour in. And then if I'm frustrated, then how I parent is frustrating. And I can't do that. Like my OCD and ADHD brain, if I even have those things, I don't know if I have those things, but it doesn't work like that. So sometimes it means that I got to comfort a baby for 5 minutes and then get back to answering that email, or I got to have them on my lap while I try to edit some content, or I got to sit in their room and do something on my phone, which I try not to do too around them, but sometimes I have to do that, and then spend some time with them just so they know I'm nearby. But I had to kind of get over being frustrated at that, because it was definitely a moment in time where I was like, oh, I don't understand. Like, why? I had to stop getting frustrated with that, because sometimes it is what it is, right? Like sometimes you just got to be flexible and be like, all right, today is not a day where I can get a whole lot of stuff done because y'all need me. So I'll put it down. And then maybe later on, I'll be able to get something done. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of me being home is to be able to be available for them if they need me. And that's kind of the mindset that I have to have sometimes. But in saying that, I've found this really amazing co-working space in the South Loop. It's called Mox-E, and it's one of the more affordable co-working spaces that I've found. So there are days when I am like, all right, this is an out of the house work day. I go to the co-working space, I sit there and I get 3 to 4 hours of work done. Like I can get up and take a break. I can get some coffee, blah, blah, blah. But then I can always come back and get work done where I'm not necessarily in the house. And those days are days that I'm starting to schedule more and more because I know I need them. And that just also comes with like having a little bit of grace, right? Like I have to switch those days up sometimes too. I can't always be consistent. But that's been a really, really, really great help for me. And even like making sure that I'm trying to get some workout in. And that's something that I'm really working on, is trying to add workouts back into my schedule, because that's been something that has been an up and down situation. But we're getting better. Again, it's all about trying. It's all about being intentional. Okay. So some of the tips I guess that I do in order to like stay productive is a time block. So every Sunday I try to sit down and be like, okay, what do I want to tackle this week? What do I need to focus on? And then I make sure that I write it out in my planner. And then I make sure that I block time in my calendar for those moments. And that's been such a super help. I color code it. I make it look cute so that it's very like in my face. And then I set it up where I get reminders, or I can see my calendar on my computer screen. So it makes it like forefront in my brain. And then I try to celebrate small wins, right? Like I try to celebrate when I accomplish something small, because that then makes me feel productive. Like it may not be small to you, but if I'm like, I get a little cute TikTok edited and posted, I'm like, yes, this is adorable. This is great. Or if I tackle 2 emails, I'm like, yes, I sent those emails out. I'm great. Or if I did a quick 10-minute brainstorm session, I'm like, whoop, 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 that was awesome. That makes sense. I love it. All right, cool. Boom. I try to celebrate the small stuff, because honestly, every step forward is progress. And it's not always about quantity. Sometimes it's just about the quality. And that is what I have to be focused on in this period, because I feel like I'm learning a lot about my business and about all of the ins and outs of it. So as much as I want to be like, yes, put myself out there, push, produce content, do all the things, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. So I have to kind of be intentional with the time I have and focus on quality of what I can do versus just doing something on the fly. And that also helps me feel encouraged about what I'm doing, because being an entrepreneur isn't always about instant return. Like, it's not like clocking into a 9 to 5. Like, at the end of the day, when you clock out of that 9 to 5, you clock in, you clock out, like, you get paid. You're getting paid regardless. As an entrepreneur, it's not the same. You don't know. You have no clue. And sitting with that uncertainty has been so difficult for me. It has been a test of my faith for sure, and a test of patience. Okay? But I think that at the end of the day, I have to focus on that quality versus the quantity of it all. I have to focus on the time that I'm investing and what I'm learning in the meantime and in the waiting process. And that's what kind of keeps me encouraged and focused moving forward, and knowing that I'm still doing exactly what God is telling me to do. And I really did want to take a minute to kind of dive into what I mean when I say you have to give yourself grace, and really talk about how my faith has really played a huge role in keeping the vibes strong in the different roles that I play. Because I really 110% know that I am not doing it by myself. Because it's impossible for me to do it by myself. I have been leaning on God so hard in this season. I kind of had to, right? Like, I had to lean on God in this season because it was going to be rough if I didn't. I was very lost. I could not figure out where to start, how to start, what I was supposed to be doing. And it kind of had me in a bit of a dark place. And I know I'm going to really go into depth about the season that God kind of put me in when I first got laid off. I'm going to go into that in depth with that in a later episode. But understanding that I had to trust in Him and depend on Him more has been such, not necessarily a struggle. Yeah, it's been a struggle. I'm just going to be honest. It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle because I'm very much I got this. I can do it. I got it. And because I flow in my gifts so naturally sometimes, I feel like I lean on those gifts more than I lean on God sometimes. And because I do that, I end up getting burnt out because I'm leaning on myself. I'm trusting in myself. And then I turn around and I'm like, God, what's going on? Why are you not here? Why are you not doing this? And He's like, I've been here the whole time. You just been on autopilot. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm about to crash. So I need help. And He's like, cool, I've been waiting for you to ask. And it's that type of like back and forth between me and God is consistent all the time. And He doesn't always answer the way I want Him to answer. He doesn't always come when I want Him to come, but He comes right on time. And that to me has been the key factor in balancing all of the different roles that I have to play. And one thing I definitely realize is that when it feels like everything is like falling apart or getting hard, or I have to push more than normal, I realize that I need to call on his grace. I need his grace. Like, I need to lean on him. I need his grace. I'm held together by that. So why is it that I'm trying to move in a way that doesn't acknowledge it, right? And it kind of leads me back to 2 Corinthians 12, 9, and 10, which says, okay, so it's actually 2 Corinthians 12 and 9, where it says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore will I boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. I do not do this by myself. And you are not alone. You're not doing this by yourself. So remember that. Hold on to that. And reach out for his help. Lean on him and know that when you're weak, he's at his strongest. You have to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. That is my actual verse. That's the verse that I repeat to myself all the time when I feel like my faith is getting low. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. Like, all the time, I just keep telling myself that because I have to remember to trust in him. That's the only way I'm going to make it through. There are days when that's harder than others, you know, but the reminder still has to be there. The consistent reminder. And understanding too that it doesn't always have to be perfect, like balance out perfectly, right? Like, even in balancing all these roles, there's going to be one day where one role takes center stage. Like I was saying, there's going to be one day where I might have to mom harder than I can boss babe today. And I have to be okay with that. Or there's going to be days where the wife role really needs to be worked on and I need to step my game up there versus, because I'm tackling the mom role perfectly. Like we're working at 110% on the mom role. So the wife role needs to be poured into a little bit more. Like I have to be okay with understanding that it's not about it all balancing out perfectly. It's about going with the flow of those moments and giving myself grace. So honestly, this episode has been a really good eye-opener and reminder for me on who I am, and not even who I am, but like what it's taken to get me to this point and how I've been kind of maneuvering in this season. And I feel like I needed that reminder because I tend to sometimes focus on the realistic aspect of everything to the point where I don't see the blessings. Like I'm so focused on the realism of it that it's like, no, but he provided there. Like you had some grace there. You were given grace there. Like this was such a good reminder to me. And I hope that it's been a reminder to you that at the end of the day, we as humans have to realize that this superwoman, superman, superhuman cape only really exists in like comic books and TV shows. Like it's not real. And giving yourself grace isn't just something that we say, right? Like it's a tangible thing that we have to flow in and embrace because we're human. Imperfectly so. We are human. And when we are at our weakest, he is at his strongest. So if you love this episode, I really hope you enjoyed it. Like I'm still getting the hang of this format. And I really do want this to just feel like a conversation. Like we're just vibing on the couch. Hopefully not at 2:00 in the morning like I did today. But if you loved this episode, feel free to like, subscribe. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share it with your mama friend who needs some encouragement in this season, because I know that with the way that this world is rocking, it's a little tough out here right now, and we all could use a little bit of encouragement. So remember, like, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends, okay? Share it with your people, and I cannot wait to see you back here on the next episode. So, you guys have a great one, and I will see you later. Thanks for listening to the Slay VibeZ Only Podcast. If you love what you hear and would like to support future episodes and guests, feel free to donate through our listener support option on Spotify. Any amount is appreciated and helps grow our impact. This has been a Slay VibeZ Media production.